Calling out my dog sitter for doubling her charge 4 days before our flight. My husband, 33M, and I, 35F, have 2 small dogs, Pip, 5M, and Skip, 17M. We both work and live below our means, and this allowed us to purchase a home and have some savings. We enjoy travel with the strategic use of miles, promos, and reciprocal travel friendships. I budget carefully and pre-plan everything so we have enough to live, enough to save, and enough to enjoy our lives. Aside from our regular jobs, we also watch dogs on the side. We usually do so below market rate because we understand how inflated dog sitting fees have become. We usually pet sit for about $30/dog/day. Sometimes we even dog sit for free if they are a friend or family members, or if it is financially tight for some of our regular clients. We love animals and we are very understanding of other people's means. This has built us a small network of people we could rely on to watch our pets until recently. A couple of our friends moved away and some have become too busy. We started using a friend of mine named Betty. She had been charging us $30 per day for Pip and $35 per day for Skip. She stays at our house and sat for us with no issue at that rate 2 times prior. In Sept, I informed her we were taking a longer trip to visit my husband's aunt for Thanksgiving as she has cancer. We told her it would just be Skip. After doing the math, it made sense to pay the fees and fly with Pip. She agreed. A few weeks before our trip, the sitter says she cannot watch Skip on Thanksgiving and Black Friday because her mom booked a cabin for them that didn't allow pets. So we scrambled to find someone to take Skip for those days. Although he does not have major medical issues and takes no meds, he is deaf, blind, has doggy dementia, and is incontinent. The incontinent part usually puts people off taking him, so we were very anxious. But after some time, we found a sitter willing to take him those days, and Betty agreed to pick him up for the remainder of the days. Then 4 days before we leave for our trip, Betty says she will keep her rate at $65 per day because she will be traveling from the cabin then picking up Skip. I called her out on this because we only needed to get an additional sitter because of the change in her plans. For reference, the other dog sitter was going to charge us $50 per day. I would have booked her for the whole thing, but Betty said she would charge us just an additional day for the pickup. My husband and I both assumed it would still be at our regular rate because she had not informed us otherwise over the 3 months we had planned this. I told her it was not cool that she is doubling our rate right before we are about to fly. I didn't tell her I wasn't going to pay the extra rate. I asked for a compromise and for her to be more upfront of any extra charges in the future. Betty then grew very uncomfortable with our interaction and basically backed out of watching him entirely. Thankfully, the second sitter was free to watch him the days she bailed on. Comment 1. NTA: I don't get the folks focused on your dog's medical challenges and the rate you've been paying. It's not like these are new / a surprise for Betty. She was fine with that rate for previous visits, and she didn't raise an issue about the fee when you initially asked her. All that changed is Betty's Thanksgiving plans. I think she upped her price because she wants extra money to go shopping next Friday. Whatever her reasons, the flip in schedule and the price hike are just not reasonable or fair. The good thing is you found a new dog sitter. I hope you never feel the need for Betty's services again. Comment 2. YTA. One reason I think the higher rate is a reasonable ask is because it's a holiday. Also, maybe after watching Skip before she felt that $35 per day was too low given his medical issues and level of attention needed. If you don't like what she chooses to charge, then say no. I don't think there was anything to necessarily call her out on. Sounded like she was pretty upfront from what you gave. $65 is fair for the holidays, your dog's medical issues, and if it's someone you know you trust and are comfortable with. Telling my half-sister that her father might have been in my life longer than my dad, but I will never be walked down the aisle by our mom's affair partner. I, 27F, have a half-sister, 25F. We share the same mom, but she cheated on my dad while they were married, and my half-sister is the result of that. Mom ended up marrying her dad after the affair was revealed and DNA was established. Apparently, he wouldn't have married Mom if my half-sister hadn't been his. My parents shared custody of me until I was just about to turn 8, literally 2 weeks before my birthday, and then my dad passed away in an accident. I was at school and it was his parenting time with me, so I saw him that day. It really destroyed me. I ended up living with my mom, obviously. I always knew about the tensions between my parents and my dad and my mom's husband. I always knew about the affair because my aunt, Mom's sister, was very open about it, and she would use every opportunity to call my mom and her husband out. My mom is still married to my half-sister's dad. He tried to be a dad to me. I do think he loves me. He claims me as his other daughter. All that stuff. But I still see him as not my dad and as the person who slept with my mom and got her pregnant while she was married to my dad. He does not get the fatherly role in my life now. Whenever I see him and my mom, I am civil, but we are not close. My relationship with my half-sister isn't that close either, but I know none of this is her fault, so I try to have a sibling relationship with her. After I got engaged, she told me she couldn't wait to see our dad walk me down the aisle. That's when I told her it would never happen, and when she said it should because he has been there longer than my dad ever was, I told her it didn't matter to me because I would never be walked down the aisle by Mom's affair partner. She told me that was 26 years ago, and I said yeah, it was, and I don't remember it happening, but he does not get rewarded, and I am not disrespecting my dad's memory like that. She told me I shouldn't be acting like this still, and what do I think of her when I hate her parents and especially her dad that much? She told me I should appreciate him more for trying to be a good dad to me, and I always rejected him and treated him like sh. Comment 1. NTA. Maybe this is something you could have explained to her in a better way, but your feelings are 100% valid. And just BC, you don't want him to walk you down the aisle doesn't mean you hate him. If that is something that you wanted to have with your bio dad, there is no reason that you need to let someone else take that role. Just let your sister know that you don't hate her dad and your mom, you just don't want him to walk you down the aisle out of respect for your dad. Maybe you can talk to your mom's husband about this and he can help clear things up? I know you said your relationship with him is civil. Maybe he would be more understanding of your position and would be able to discuss it with your sister? Comment 2. NTA. If you don't see him as your dad, that's your choice. However, I think you should seek therapy to sort through your feelings about Mom's affair, your parents' divorce, and your dad's death. The resentment you're still carrying is unhealthy, and it's not something you should bring into a marriage. Comment 3. NTA. I don't blame you for not wanting one of the two people who ruined your parents' marriage, and in turn your family, to walk you down the aisle at your own wedding. I imagine you still feel a strong sense of loyalty to your own father and don't want to betray him by having someone who was a part of taking so much from him, take something else that was supposed to be his. I would feel the same way. Your sister had a completely different life experience from you. She doesn't get an opinion on this. Do what's best for you, op. Telling my aunt to keep her gifts as my kids couldn't care less about them? I have 2 toddler sons. They're just like any other toddler and are pretty self-absorbed. Currently, one adores cars and the other loves the color red. Toddler 1 won't play with anything but cars and toddler 2 will only play with red toys. My mom hosted a party the other night and one of my aunts came. She bought a bunch of gifts for all the kids. The older kids were respectful and accepted their gifts, but my son simply glanced at the toys, noticed they weren't cars or red, and moved on to something else. I thanked her for the toys and made a joke about how unpredictable toddlers are. After realizing that she looked upset, she rolled her eyes and said that was rude. I told her that they're toddlers and she said so. My kids knew how to say thank you by the time they were 3. I told her that they can say please and thank you, but they're still learning. She made a noise and said learning to be rude. I told her she was being a little sensitive and that they're literally babies. They don't even understand the concepts of being rude or ungrateful. She got annoyed and said fine then, don't expect any more presents after today, and that she hates entitled parents like me who are blinded by their children and think they can do no wrong. I said whatever, and told her she could keep the gifts she bought for today since my kids couldn't care less about them. She got all red in the face and said now she knows why the boys are so rude, but I just grabbed the kids and my husband and left. I was extremely angry at the moment, but now I'm just in disbelief. Who gets offended by a toddler? My mom says my aunt is very upset with me and is threatening to uninvite us from her Christmas dinner aunt is hosting this year, unless I apologize and promise to raise my kids better. My mom thinks we're being ridiculous and I should just say sorry, but I said no. I just can't wrap my head around why she's so angry. Edit. First, to be more specific, the boys just turned 2. Second, I feel I made this clear, but I apologized and thanked my aunt before anything else. The boys had already run off to their dad and were preoccupied with him by the time I got to my aunt, so dragging them over and trying to maybe get a thank you out of them felt like a waste of time for all of us. I'm not saying she isn't allowed to feel hurt, but she didn't have to say all those things about my kids. Comment 1. NTA. Your kids are 2, and while a thank you from a 2-year-old isn't unheard of, it's not the norm. You thanked her, and she responded by calling you a bad parent over the behavior of a couple of 2-year-olds. If she doesn't want to bring gifts anymore, that's fine, but to uninvite you from a family holiday is a little heavy-handed. She's way overreacting and passing judgment where none should exist. Emo. Auntie needs to get over herself. Comment 2. NTA. Your kids are just starting to be verbal and your aunt is flipping like this over lack of verbal expressions? Parent of 20-year-old twins here, who are kind, thoughtful people and write thank you notes. Nobody expected correct responses from them when they were toddlers. It was my job to express our family's thanks for whatever was given them. You did that and yon great-aunt is being a bit much. Are you a twin parent? I see you. Comment 3. NTA. First of all, who is offended by the behaviors of a 2-year-old? Grow up, seriously. Second of all, it sounds like she is just being petty because she doesn't really know your kids that well. Personally, I know just enough about psychology to understand justification versus rationalization. Don't get me wrong, I don't think you're 100% right, but your aunt definitely should know better and at least have the self-respect to just ignore the situation and let it go. Instead of again, basing life decisions off of the actions of a 2-year-old. Telling my kids that if they don't go to my wedding I will not be attending Therese. I'll start at the beginning. My ex-husband was a good father but a terrible husband. I divorced him when my oldest was 14 and youngest was 10. Well, he ended up spiraling and the kids were exposed to that. I was blamed for ruining Dad. He got better after a few years but ending up doing it again when he learned I was dating. So the kids kept trying to get me not to date since it will affect their dad. It was an awful time since to the kids I was still responsible for what he did and reacted to things. In the end I just kept my dating on the low end, which wasn't hard since it wasn't introducing the kids to the men anyways. All I had to change was not posting on social media. Also yes, I sent the kids to therapy. They all stopped when they hit 18 or my middle child refused to talk, so I pulled him. The oldest is now 25 and youngest is 21 and I got proposed to. I sat them down and told them, they were not happy and were pissed I was doing this to Dad. Lots of talk later and I thought it was good. The wedding is in 2 weeks. I got a text from all the kids saying they will not be at my wedding, that they need to support Dad during this time. I had enough and texted them that if they do not go to my wedding it will damage our relationship and I will not be attending their own weddings when they get married. They were pissed and it started an argument and all of them think I am huge jerk. I truly hate that I can't do anything that makes me happy since it will affect my ex. Sorry for errors on phone and not native speaker. Update, I realized I am okay letting them go, I can't do it anymore. I sent a text, it is up to them if they go or not. If they do go I have hope to fix this relationship, if not I'm just done. I can't keep playing this game. It's for everything, Anytime I have something good, his feelings have to come first. I can't do that anymore, it hurts too much. I could tell them everything he has done, but I don't feel like blowing up their image of him. Update 2. Someone private messaging me convinced me to lay it all out for them, so I did. When I got my response, they called me a liar. Even with showing old screenshots that were in our divorce case. I think it is over. Thanks for everyone that tried to help. I known this was a no-win situation. Comment 1. NTA. They are adults now and should realize that you are under no obligation to stay single to appease your ex. They are not the only people who have had parents divorce, and yet it seems like they can't get over it. And if after all this time your ex is still emotionally impacted by your personal life, then he needs to get on with his life and get help, because it is not healthy. Also, assuming that they want you to go to their weddings in the future, are they expecting you to go solo and not bring your husband? Comment 2. Your kids are absolutely ridiculous from the divorce and up to now. Your relationship with your ex-husband is exactly that, your relationship. The kids have no business getting involved in adult situations. And now that they are grown, they are continuing with that selfish behavior. I guess they expect you to be single for the rest of your life, and continue to be manipulated by their father, and now that they are adults. I would have given them an ultimatum a long time ago, telling them to grow the hell up or move along. If you continue to bow to them now, you will be doing it for the rest of your life, and I guarantee you it will ruin the marriage you are about to enter. NTA.
Telling my mom it needs to be someone else's turn to share a room with my cousin. My 10-year-old cousin has been living with us since March. She was also in foster care for 6 months before living with us. We have a 4-bedroom house and there's me, 14F, my brother, 16M, my sister, 17F, and my parents, so there wasn't an extra room for her. We're converting our old playroom to a bedroom, but until that happens, she's sleeping in my room, because we're closest in age. Sharing a room with my cousin is exhausting. She refuses to leave the room for anything after my mom tucks her in until my mom comes to get her, so if she's hungry, scared, needs to go to the bathroom, feeling sick, etc., she always wakes me up, then I have to get my mom so my mom can take care of it. She also randomly hides under her bed and cries, so I always have to drop what I'm doing to get my mom to take care of that too. The other night she woke me up because she wanted my mom. She could have gotten her herself, but she always insists on waking me up and asking me to get her. I got my mom because she could have cried all night if I didn't. Then the next morning, I said it should be someone else's turn to share with her until her room is ready, and that I'm sick of being woken up because she's scared to leave her room after bedtime. My dad said that her room should be ready soon and they're not moving her to another room. I said it's bullshit that they're making me babysit their niece all night, and my dad threatened to ground me if I didn't shut up. Comment 1. NTA. But it sounds like your cousin has suffered severe trauma and needs a great deal of support. Is she in therapy? If not, she should be. It's unfair that your parents have put you in the position of being a support person for this child when you are not qualified to do so. They are ignoring the stress your cousin's situation is putting on you. Perhaps you can suggest they get a baby monitor or walkie-talkie for your cousin to contact your mom directly. She will need that when she's in her own room. Comment 2. Why wasn't the solution for you to share with your sister for the time being, while cousin gets their own room? NTA. But I'm side-eyeing your parents, who clearly did not prepare well enough to take in this kid, or at the least didn't brief their own kids well enough on what to expect. Comment 3. NTA. But however, have you considered a compromise? Maybe you could move in with another sibling, while your cousin has a room to herself. It sounds like she has a lot of trauma, and she ought to be waking your parents up in the night if she has a problem, not you. Moving her to another sibling's bedroom just hands over the responsibility to them, when really it shouldn't belong to any of the three of you.